Welcome to Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast, your guide to the TV show Gotham and all things Batman and the Batman universe. It's just me, Phil, this week because I'm speaking with a special guest. With us is Kristen Geaman, who edited the book Dick Grayson, Boy Wonder. If you follow us on social media, you'll see that we're giving away a free copy of this. And why don't you introduce yourself, Kristen?
Hello, I'm Kristen. I'm not too much to tell. I live in Ohio, and I'm obviously a big fan of Dick Grayson, so that's why we decided to dedicate a whole book to him.
That was going to be my first question, was like, how big of a Batman and Dick Grayson fan were you?
Let's see. Well, probably for most people sort of my age, which is like, late 20s, early 30s, I was introduced to it through Batman the Animated Series, of course. I used to watch it when I was in elementary school with my younger brother, and he was very into Batman, and I was always drawn to Robin. It wasn't just my brother forcing me to be Robin to his Batman. I was like, Robin's obviously cooler. And so my dad was always into the Batman as well. I think he's the one that actually got us watching the show. And I did read the comics that went along with the animated series show. But then I kind of fell away for a while. But my dad had been collecting comics since about 1992, and he had them all up in our attic. So a couple of years ago, actually about 5 years ago, I just was like, I'm going to read some comics again. And so I just went up into the attic and started reading. He had like the whole Nightwing run and, all of these other various runs that I just sort of sat down and started reading them, and I got really into it again.
Yeah, I love the Nightwing run.
Yeah, it's good. And it was so nice. It's kind of like binge watching a television show. Sometimes you don't want to watch it week to week. You want to wait until it all comes out on Netflix so you can just sit down and watch, all 12 or however many hours of it as quickly as you can. It was kind of like that with the Nightwing run because I didn't have to wait every month to figure out what was going to happen. I could just sit there and read all 153 issues as fast as I wanted, which is kind of cool.
That sounds good. I was month to month, so it was torture.
Oh, I'm sure, because there are some that I couldn't even imagine, like particularly when it gets into that sort of, in the 80s and 90s with Devin Grayson's run with Blockbuster. I cannot imagine waiting for that because, like, oh my God, what terrible thing is going to happen next?
So do you watch the Gotham show right now?
I watched the first episode, and then I have a bunch of them on DVR because I just couldn't really find the time to watch it. And I don't know, what's it on, Monday night?
Yeah, Mondays at 8.
Yeah, that wasn't really a good night. Wasn't really a good night for me. So sadly, I haven't watched it a lot. What's your take on it? Should I start watching it?
Yeah, it gets good. You could see they kind of changed direction and tone a little bit, maybe halfway through or a little further, because originally it was only supposed to be 13 episodes, and then they gave them like a full, 22 episode season.
Okay.
But yeah, and then there's an episode, I think it's around halfway through, maybe a little more, where they get Dick Grayson's parents.
I do have that one saved. I'm going to watch that one for sure.
Yeah, that's a decent one.
Yeah, I think I would like to know how do you feel about the Alfred in the show? Because the first episode that I watched, I was kind of put off by the Alfred. He felt weird to me.
I like Alfred. When you get further into the show, you could see the bond he has with Bruce, and then they kind of hint around at his background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like some of the more modern stories, he's like I guess he was like in some kind of special forces or something.
That's cool. Yeah. So Alfred gets better is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I don't know, he just felt a little off to me. I don't know. But that's cool.
Alright, let's get to why we're here, the book. So, how do you start a book like this? Do you take the idea to a publisher or something?
Actually, we started out just talking about it on social media, on Tumblr. A group of us, I think, by actual sort of a funny story. My actual job is I teach medieval history at a university, and 2015 also happens to be 800 years of Magna Carta. So yay, a big party for that. And I started getting emails from the various medieval groups that I'm affiliated with saying, hey, we need to get gearing up for our celebrations of Magna Carta. And I thought, oh, you know what else is happening in 2015? Dick Grayson's turning 75. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we put together a book for Dick Grayson for being 75? And so I just kind of mentioned it on Tumblr, and a lot of people responded positively. So I thought, oh, okay, I guess that this could actually seriously happen. So we started talking about it more seriously, and I got people to sort of commit ideas. And then once I had a sense of what people would be writing, I did shop it around to a couple publishers, and eventually I found one that took it. If we hadn't found a publisher, I think we would have tried to self-publish it, although it was probably easier for us to have somebody else, doing all of the, sort of putting it together, all the kind of formatting and stuff, because I think kind of a lot of stuff goes into that I don't know if I would have had the time or expertise to take care of. So that was how we did it. So it's sort of a mix of fan writers and academic writers, because I found some people who are academics, but also, of course, fans through sort of academic website as well. But a lot of people actually connected with on Tumblr, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. As someone who tries to get some of these people, how did you get the comic creators themselves to give you interviews?
How did I get them? Yes. Who was it first? I think actually, I just started kind of trolling around on the internet, and Marv Wolfman has a good website where he just has his email address up there. And so I emailed him and I was like, hey, we're thinking about doing this book, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, I would answer some questions. Let me know if you get a publisher. Because actually I reached out to him before we before we were sure that it was going to be a book. And sort of once you had that first yes, then I could kind of say to other people, hey, well, Marv Wolfman said that he would do it, so you should do it too. And then it was really just kind of looking for their websites or finding them through Facebook. So actually, I would say go to Facebook, and you can follow them on Facebook, and then most of the creators you could message them. You can message them on Facebook, but then a couple of creators gave me emails for their friends. So it kind of spirals from there. So you need to get one. You need to get someone.
Get one on the hook, okay.
Yes, you need to get one on the hook and use them as bait for others.
I'm only like a third way through this book. I'm hoping to read a lot more tonight. It's very intriguing. I'm a lifelong Dick Grayson fan, and I'm discovering new stuff and just certain points of view. I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Because what section was this? I forget. Because there was one where they were talking about how basically Dick is almost like the father figure or adult figure in Bruce's life because he helps him move on and.
Yeah, from his trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that one really cool?
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Well, they all to a certain point make you think, and I'm just like, yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's hopefully, because, this is probably not the best. I think when you're going into a book, ideally you would probably have sort of a more narrow focus. Our focus, just being Dick Grayson, we were sort of hoping to bring in anything we could since he doesn't have a book any sort of book dedicated to him until now. So we were sort of like, let's try to do as many things as possible, which, you know, I like probably publishers would not recommend that to you at all, but whatever. We were doing our own thing. So yeah, we were sort of hoping, you know, provide some of the sort of more academic viewpoints, show people how you can really, you know, get sort of serious and gung-ho with parsing comics. You know, maybe if some college students read it, inspire them, like, you can write a paper about comics in school if you want to, and even get a good grade on it. And then also maybe to sort of serve as a resource, because I think, you know, you go to some of those comic databases or Comic Vine or whatever, and Dick's been in, you know, between 4,000 and 5,000 different issues of comics. I mean, that's a lot of issues. No one's going to be able to read all of those. I mean, I don't even know if you could get your hands on all of those. I mean, you have to have a lot of money to buy, you know, 4,000 different issues of comics. So different people are interested in different things, have, you know, really sort of focused, read more on different things, so that can give people hopefully a sense that, you know, if you haven't had time to, you know, say, read Batman Family, there's an article about that. You can get a sense of what's going on. And then if you think, oh, you know, that's kind of cool, but I don't think I want to, you know, take the time to track those comics down. Well, but now you can sort of fill in a gap, so to speak, in your Dick Grayson knowledge. Whereas if you read that and you're like, this sounds really awesome, I love the 70s, you know, maybe you might want to track down Batman Family, because it's a fun comic, actually. So, you know, hopefully it can sort of serve as a resource, you know, all kinds of different things.
It's just incredible to me that all these, all the people writing in the book, how they examine all the different, like, I guess I want to say personality traits of Dick Grayson, because, like you said, he's been in 4,000 or 5,000 different comics, and how many different writers have written him and put their own spin.
Yeah, giving his spin. Yeah, and it is. Yep, some are a little, because we sort of got it divided up into kind of goes by time period. So, you know, you've got an article on the sort of early parts, which I actually I still think they're kind of fun. I love the sort of the absurdity of some of the golden and Silver Age comics. But, you know, that Dick Grayson is not as, you know, well developed a character as, you know, the Dick Grayson that we see in New Teen Titans. But, you know, he still has, even back then, you know, there are some, you know, traits that, you know, Wolfman and Perez pick up on later and really develop. It's sometimes I think it's so interesting how many different facets of Dick there are, and then I also think, and considering that he's 75, there are actually some traits that people have done a very good job of remaining pretty consistent about, and I think that's pretty incredible, actually. Over 75 years with dozens of writers, there's some traits that are actually consistent in this sort of serial corporate character.
Yeah, I've seen people say that, like, Dick Grayson might be the most important person in the DC universe just because he's not like Batman. He'll let himself be emotional, and he'll let people, he's not afraid to have friends, and he'll let people in, and, you know, he's basically friends with just about everyone.
Yeah.
He's been around so long.
Yeah, and for me, anyway, and you can, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. I think that that's partially so appealing that Dick is like that, but he's affiliated with the Batman books, which at least certainly in more recent times have become a bit darker. Sometimes, I don't know, it's almost like that sort of salty sweet combination, if you ever get like salted caramel ice cream or whatever, or, you know, chocolate covered pretzels, that, you know, oh, the salty sweet combo, it just makes both better. And sometimes I feel like Dick is like that in the Batman books, that, you know, he's in a somewhat darker book, but he is a lighter character, but he's not, you know, totally light and fluffy, but he's not like grim dark, you know,
yeah,
very serious like that either. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's why Dick Grayson is probably my favorite character. It's just because he can be Batman. He has been Batman once or twice. I mean, he has all the physical skills of a Batman, and even a few more because of his acrobatic training. He could be the detective Batman is, but then he can have a life outside the mask and the costume. You know, Batman can't be anything but Batman.
Yeah, definitely. It feels real, you know, some of the stuff that he's gone through, that he's not all darkness. I mean, not that Bruce is either, although some writers write him that way, you know, but that he's not all like, he has these different lives sometimes. Sometimes he even has struggles.
Yeah, it just seems like, you know, like you said, with a lot of writers, Bruce never got through that trauma from childhood, but Dick worked his way through, and he's like a more healthy person for it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really appealing. I mean, not that I don't like reading about Batman, but, you know, I guess I would hope that if some horrible tragedy ever struck me, that I would end up more like Dick Grayson, maybe to work my way through it, and less like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Are you reading the comic books currently?
I am, yes.
The Grayson books?
Yes, and I must admit that I have to give major credit to Tom King and Tim Seeley, because I was kind of skeptical at first. I was a little put off by, you know, the promotional image where he was pointing the gun at you, because we were like, oh no, guns, you know, it just seemed, could this could go really bad. But I've really been loving it. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was really skeptical at first. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Don't ruin my favorite character.
I know, but no, I really like it. And I think that the way they write Dick Grayson, he feels very true to sort of all of those characteristics that most of us who love Dick Grayson love about him. And so, you know, there's the darkness and the light. He's obviously competent, but he's pretty fun and cracking the quips and stuff. And it just, I don't know, it feels like the Dick Grayson I always wanted. And it takes us back.
All right, then. So you know Grayson. So what is your favorite identity for Dick Grayson?
Oh, see, you know, I am totally content. I was once joking with some friends. I was saying, you know, it doesn't matter to me. I would read a comic that was Dick Grayson sitting on the couch solving crimes. Kind of like that one episode of issue of Nightwing where he's sitting at Barbara's apartment solving America's Most Wanted stories, I think, on the phone. I was like, I would read a comic that was just that, because I love Dick Grayson. And I don't know, I just like Dick Grayson. When people say who's your favorite hero, I'm like superhero, I'm like Dick Grayson. Like, it doesn't even matter to me really what costume he's in, just him. Although, yeah, I don't know. So I guess I don't really have a favorite identity. I can pick out which different costumes I like, but I don't know if I can really decide between Nightwing and Robin. It would sort of depend on like who the writer is and stuff. I don't know. Which do you prefer?
Probably Nightwing somewhat, but I mean, like you said, anything from like New Teen Titans on, it really doesn't matter what he's wearing, just as long as it's Dick Grayson.
Yes, so true.
Have you read any of the stuff when he's been Batman?
Yeah, but a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I did. Yeah, I did. That was pretty fun. I liked that. Partially, I just liked it from a sort of almost outside of comics standpoint, or like not related to the in story. I was like, yeah, Dick's Batman. This shows how awesome he is, and you know, important in that kind of stuff. And you know, of course, it meant he was in more books per month. So woohoo! You know, that was cool. But I actually thought they did a good job, and I liked the Dick and Damian dynamic. I love reading about Damian because he cracks me up, but I think I would never be able to handle having a child like that in my life. But he's really fun to read about, and I really enjoyed reading Dick's interactions with him.
Yeah, no, that was like the first time like they replaced a hero, and they replaced him with someone else. And like they were like, "Oh, Bruce Wayne's coming back." I was like, "Oh, okay." I've been enjoying Dick as Batman.
I know. I kind of wish that they could have done a little bit more with the sort of two Batmans, because that was kind of interesting. Like Dick and Damian doing their thing, and Bruce sort of, if he could have been, like watching and learning from Dick almost how to relate to his son, that would have been good. But they had to do the reboot, and everything got changed.
Yeah. Get me started on that reboot.
Yeah. I'm coming around to it, though. I feel like they wore me down. It's like water on a stone, They're just carving away my resistance. Because I do really like Grayson. I feel like Dick is pretty fun in that, so that's interesting. He didn't die, so thank God. He's still around, and I'm glad that they brought Damian back. But there are, definitely still some problems.
Yeah, I was pretty sure they weren't going to kill him off. What was that, like 2 years ago or whatever? Because I guess they were talking like, what was it, 2006 or whenever Infinite Crisis was, when they killed off Superboy for a while.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be Nightwing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been terrible.
Yeah, because who's it? Dan DiDio or whatever his name is at DC. I guess that was his big idea. And then the rumor got out.
Yeah.
He said he'd go to the airport and like the baggage handler would be like, "I'm not giving you your bags until you promise me you're not killing off Dick Grayson."
I know. That guy's my second favorite hero after Dick,
I know.
of course. Yeah, that's true. I didn't really think that they would kill him off either, but they get the little worry, and us we're like, no, what are you gonna do? But thankfully, it's sort of worked out.
Yeah,
which is good.
So you had fun on this project?
Yes, it was. It was definitely fun. I hope there are not too many mistakes in the book. Don't tell me if there are, because I proofread it multiple times. But, there's always stuff that slips by, and I'll just be aggravated at myself. And I missed that comma, no. But yeah, it was really fun working with all these different people and reading everybody else's different ideas about it. Actually, some of the later ones. You said you were still reading in the beginning part of the book in section 4, I think it might be, that talks about Dick's relationships with other people. There's an article about him and his Titans companions, and someone talks some more specifically about the Dick and Roy relationship, particularly kind of focusing on the Outsiders book, and that was really good for me, because although I've read Outsiders, it wasn't really my favorite. It's not really. I prefer, as you might guess, based on me talking about how much I enjoy Grayson, I prefer stuff that's a little bit lighter, and Outsiders was kind of heavy for me, but it did give me a new appreciation reading that person's work and sort of hearing what she had to say about Outsiders. I was like, oh yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't really thought of it that way. So that was good. Gave me new appreciation, new insight into some of the comics, and also gave me ideas for ones that I should read again, or read for the first time. Oh, another article when you get to it, the one about Dick and Frank Miller, particularly in All-Star Batman and Robin. That's a pretty good one, because of course, I feel like a lot of Dick Grayson fans are not really too keen on Frank Miller, because it was not very nice to Dick in The Dark Knight Strikes Again. And we still hold a grudge over it. But this was very, I don't know as I would say it made me like All-Star Batman and Robin, but it definitely gave me some things to think about. And so that was good. So I don't know how you feel about it. Have you read All-Star Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might want to check out that article. It'll give you some food for thought, at least, about it, even if it doesn't make you suddenly, love it.
Oh yeah, like I said, I've enjoyed what I've read so far. I'm going to read the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots in there, and I thought like the interviews, particularly with Chuck Dixon, Devin Grayson, and Kyle Higgins. They give you some, some sort of insight, I think, into a little bit what was happening, sort of behind the scenes, particularly Devin's interview, and that was fun to read, or as a comics fan, to get some insight into sort of how it's made, so to speak. Not all of it, unfortunately, is good though, but sometimes
all right, so
I read too.
I know Dick's your favorite character, just like mine, but would you do another book like this with another comic book character?
I feel like I would love for us, as in fans, the broader collective, to put together a book about the Bat family, to sort of talk about, because I'm sure, as you know, being a Bat expert yourself, that, there are a lot of fans that are like, I love dark loner Batman, and then there are a lot of fans that are like, I like Batman that, has some getting close to people issues, but, has brought this whole family around him, and I think it would be really cool, sort of do a book about the Bat family, and sort of specifically focusing on how important that family aspect is. Because
Because, you talk to someone on the street who's never picked up a comic book, you might even hear, what, there's been more than one Robin?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that once a couple of years ago, when I was in grad school, there was a display on comic books at a museum nearby, and I was telling another grad student, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. It's about the Golden Age, and they're going to have stuff about, Batman and, Dick Grayson, he's the first Robin, he's my favorite Robin. And another grad student who was not the one I was directly talking to looked at me and she was like, there have been more than one Robin? And we were like, oh my god, are you serious? There have been. Obviously, like, why would you know? But, me and the other student were like, oh, well, let us tell you.
Yeah, that's
what you want to know.
Yeah, that's like the one bit of knowledge I think that's stuck in my wife's head that she wishes wasn't there.
All the different Robins.
Yes.
Well, that's important to know.
Exactly. I have a 2-year-old. I'm like, we have to teach him this stuff.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, because that's really funny, because one thing that when I was just at my local comic book store, there was a book there that was called 5-Minute Batman Stories. It was obviously geared for, parents who like Batman to read to their kids that they want to like Batman. And I was just kind of leafing through it. And what I thought was so funny and also going to be really confusing to kids is they have all these different stories, and they have different Robins that are illustrated differently without always explaining why. There's a story that's like how Batman and Robin became a team. I'm like, okay, this must be about Dick and Bruce. No, it's actually about Dick and Tim, and it's basically like Tim found out who Batman was and wanted to help, so Batman said okay, because it's a 5-minute story, so we have to cut to the chase pretty fast. And then they're like, oh, and but Tim's not the first Robin, and then they give us a little spiel about Nightwing. But then you go 2 stories later, and Robin is suddenly Damian. It's very clear based on the illustration because he looks dressed like Damian looks in the comics, but there isn't really explanation for like, how did we suddenly get this different Robin? And then, boom, a couple stories later, it's back to Tim being Robin because it's in the red and black outfit. And I'm like, this is going to actually be really confusing for kids. And if you're not a parent that knows much stuff about Batman, how are you going to explain why Robin keeps changing and looking different and having a different age and stuff in this book? So it's good that you know about Batman so you can school your child when did you say you have a son or daughter?
Son.
So when he reads those stories and gets confused, you can tell him.
Oh, yeah. I've been reading since I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the problem when people complain about these comic book movies now, and they're like, oh, the story, this and that. I'm like, well, they have to compress like decades of story, especially if it's like someone who's been around, Batman and Dick Grayson who've been around for 70-some years. You have to compress all this history into like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. That's why it's always kind of funny. I enjoy most versions of Batman, so I'm kind of a fan of the Burt Ward, Adam West version as well. I find it quite hilarious, so I love it for the hilarity factor. And it is actually kind of funny because it hadn't really clicked into my brain until recently, after the DVD came out and I was watching it, that they just like jump right into the middle of it. They don't ever really try to explain the Batman backstory or anything, because just the first episode, the first episode contains the only mention of Bruce's parents dying. It's like right at the very beginning, and he's, I don't know, chatting with various, Gotham City dignitaries, and he's, talking about donating money, I think, to the police as Bruce Wayne, and he says something like, I've wanted to do these kinds of things ever since my parents became victims of crime. And, like, that's it. There's no other explanation, and there's really no explanation for why Dick lives with him. Nothing. It's just, boom, we're getting into the Batman and Robin, and I think that's actually kind of funny. And maybe they could try to do a Batman movie about that, where it's just like, here's a Batman movie, we don't have to explain to you why he's Batman, you know who Batman is. If you want an explanation, read Wikipedia. And boom, here's a Batman movie.
Well, yeah, these days, I mean, with like Batman and Superman, even like Spider-Man, it's like, dude, how many movies have we gotten with their origin? Do we really need to go through the origin again?
Right, exactly. Well, and I remember reading once, though, that people really like origin stories. And do you remember a couple of years ago, there was that Batman Live that was...
Yes.
Did you go and see it by any chance?
No, it was nowhere near here.
Oh, okay. I actually, because I was very lucky, I saw it both in England, because it went to England first, and then I was in Los Angeles for school, so I saw it in Los Angeles, and I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to see it, because I feel like it was kind of the perfect sort of Batman origin thing, because basically it was the Dick Grayson origin story, so it had both the element of an origin story, which apparently people love, and it had Batman, but it didn't have to be Batman's origin story, so it was like, it has Batman and an origin story. Boom. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Well,
I shouldn't say it was perfect. There were some weirdnesses, but, why they haven't made that into a Batman movie different from the Batman Forever, I don't know, because I think it would go over really well, actually.
What did you hear? I don't know if it's definite yet, but they're talking about doing a Titans TV show with, like, Dick Grayson in the lead role.
Yeah, I did hear about that. That would be cool. I know a lot of people are kind of nervous, and I can't understand, because, they'll probably, I mean, anytime there's a comic book movie, people who are diehard comic book fans, we always find something we don't like, because I don't know, because that's just the way of it. I mean, that's just the way people are. I'm a historian, so anytime I go see a movie that takes place just like a historical piece, I find tons of things to complain about, which I don't know, I guess it's just the nature of going to the movies, which is not necessarily fair to the movies, but it is what it is. And so I feel like, yes, that will probably happen with the Titan show, but at the same time, it's always good to have more Nightwing visibility.
Yes. So
hopefully it will be fun. I think that would be the thing. I would hope if it was a Titan show, it would be a little, lean a little more to the fun side, and hopefully not be too dark, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think with the other Titans, it won't be too dark, because I think they're talking about Oracle, Starfire, Raven, maybe Hawk and Dove.
Yeah. I feel like, Starfire definitely brightens things up.
You can have a love triangle going.
Yes. That would be interesting. That might be something people don't want to see, though.
Yeah.
Probably be better if they steered away from that, actually.
I don't know. TV people don't seem to get that sometimes.
That's true. I know. What do I know? I don't know anything about making a TV show.
Alright, I think that's all the questions I had. Before we go, do you want to tell everyone where they can get the book, and if you want to promote your social media or anything?
Yes, so the book, I would say the best place to get the book is on Amazon. Actually, the book has already gone on sale on Amazon, which is exciting, because I think that means we must have crossed some sort of threshold of selling them that they'll start discounting it. So it's discounted on Amazon, so that would probably be the best place to go and get it. The publisher, McFarland, also has a website. I don't believe it's discounted over there, so Amazon. My friends, because there are some international people that contributed to the book, it's at least available on Amazon, in various European Amazons, so Amazon would probably be the best place to check it out. And we do have a Tumblr. I think it's 75 years of Dick Grayson.tumblr.com. That's the one that's linked with our Twitter. It's not the most exciting Tumblr. Mostly we just tweet out pictures of covers or panels we like or whatever. But you can check that out if you happen to be on Tumblr and wants to see various covers in which Dick Grayson is on them. That's mostly what we do.
That's awesome.
So, yes. Oh, and actually, we also, earlier in the year, we were having people were submitting little posts about, this is why I love Dick Grayson. So if anyone wants to submit a post, you can submit it with your name or with a Tumblr name or a Twitter name or whatever, or you can just be anonymous. We're always looking for people to write as much or as little as you want about why you love Dick Grayson, and then we'll run it on the blog.
All right. Well, Kristen Geaman, thank you, and please get to work on that Bat Family book.
Okay, thank you. We'll see what we can wrestle out. All
right. So, what did everyone think? Great interview, huh? I know. I'm really enjoying the book, like I said. I'm not done, but I'm going to try to get this book done as quickly as possible, because Dick Grayson is like my favorite character in DC and maybe all popular literature. So, been doing a lot of interviews lately. The show will be back. The Gotham television show will be back in September. Send me your thoughts. What do you think about the interviews? Like them? Email me. nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp, and if you want to get hold of us for the show, our email is beforethebat@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Before the Bat, the Gotham Podcast. Our Twitter is @beforethebatpod. And like I said, we're having a contest going on, a Dick Grayson contest. You can win this book. It's a little pricier than a regular book, so this is a great prize. The contest, it's anything Dick Grayson you want to send us. Stories, artwork, poems, songs, anything. If you want to send me a Nightwing costume, go ahead and be my guest. But the artwork, if you don't want to scan it and send it to us, if you want to send us original artwork, get a hold of us and I'll give you details on how you can mail that to me. Once again, you can send your entries, or if you need more info, beforethebat@gmail.com. Alright, so until next time, same bat time, same bat channel, the Gotham Podcast.